Hello, I'm Miles, director of Dream Prison Wanderer at Otyugra. If you are a first-time viewer, welcome. Dream Prison Wanderer is an upcoming turn-based roguelike with 3D gameplay and a thrilling story. Today, I want to tell you about a private contest we prepared, then held summer of 2022. As I report our journey, I want you to consider whether the time we spent on the contest was worthwhile. Last year, my small team held a contest for our playtesters. For the first time, a group played a demo of our game that attempted to have a little of everything which formed the gameplay loop of our game. The demo included 6 items, 7 enemies, 1 room shape, yet hundreds of dungeon layouts, 3 attacks usable by the player, 1 type of collectible, and 1 goal. Testers competed for the highest score. The contest was not a digression from our end goal of finishing the development, but instead a reason to work on certain aspects of the game sooner or later than planned. The result reassured us that the game plays about the way we dreamed. Our game was engaging even in its humble state. We learned how to prepare for a release. Overall, the contest was a success. The idea for the contest likely happened May 2021 during a 5-hour call with my co-designer Trevor. Calls that long between him and I are rare and tend to greatly impact development planning. We both were on fire for the idea of the contest. I immediately wrote a plan for what a contest would have. The preparations then had a great start. I recall the way I felt at the time. This sub-project will be different from past ones. That first month was one of my all-time most hardworking and productive. I predicted then that the momentum would continue. In that next month, 2 major changes shook the company. First, I found out that I only had about 75 days to gain an additional tech job or suffer consequences. The second thing to happen was that Trevor talked me into hiring a 3rd member of the team. At first, these 2 things only had a small effect on productivity. I need to pause to explain why it was unwise for me to hire a 3rd person. We didn't have much experience hiring, so made mistakes designing the role, onboarding the person, and vetting. My emotions influenced my decision to hire him and to keep him afterward. During his tenure, I should have insisted that he work more independently and do the best he could with limited knowledge about our company history and other topics. He was deeply argumentative and critical. That made for a constant distraction from contest preparations. So, I ended the previous month with an estimate for when we could host the contest, but it was too optimistic. I then doubted my prediction and rewrote the whole thing. This time, it was predicted to happen at the end of September. The problem with this plan was that it assumed I would be able to maintain the high productivity. Even under normal circumstances, that would have been difficult. Unfortunately, July and August were disasters. I continued to intensify my job search, and it began to distract from my availability to work. Then, in August, things worsened. It was my last chance to acquire a job, and it pushed me into a panic. It was an anxious time for me. So far, I've not talked about the content of the contest. By the end of month 2, we had made solid progress creating and programming the items, and even cut content from our goal. July brought with it the first big challenges of our goal, and I worked on stuff that had nothing to do with the contest, such as the title screen of the game. It was a bad use of time, and it wouldn't be the last time I worked on something irrelevant. By August, Trevor was permitted to spend fewer hours working on the game and indeed contributed less. I had completed my first 3D modeled enemy, which was already put into the game. I was beginning to realize that the contest wouldn't happen until December at the soonest due to the process of making 3D models and programming them. In hindsight, even December was overly optimistic because I didn't grasp how much time was needed to give the enemies personality and bug fixes. September is frustrating to look back on. None of us accomplished much that month for the contest. Trevor's excitement for the contest was in flux, so I was temporarily on my own. In October, the 6th month, I created the second 3D enemy. Afterward, I was distracted by a debated disagreement with the new hire. A mistake I was making was focusing too much on marketing. The contest could have happened a month sooner if not for all that. These days, I do almost no marketing, but that's an opposite extreme. Going forward, I hope to microblog once per month, send a newsletter once every 3 months, and upload a YouTube video twice a year. In November, trends continued, but I took firm action to address our problem with the new hire. I feel in hindsight that I didn't give him enough meaningful work to take pride in. In December, the new hire became less cooperative and even began to behave hostile. I suspended him swiftly. Productivity was suffering further due to bad luck in our personal lives. Thankfully, I for one had a great Christmas and New Year's that year. In January, the new guy left the team and work resumed. My personal life was improving now that I was making local friends. I was very energetic and in a good mood to work. Together, we accomplished a lot for the contest. But in February, my newfound productivity vanished and I was in an anxious mood. I wasn't focused on the contest, yet I was working very hard that month and fighting my inability to produce results. Sometimes game development can prove difficult and slow. My anguish continued into March while I applied again to jobs. Dream Prison Wanderer was less a priority. Meanwhile, Trevor was sad about the 3DS port getting cancelled and other reasons. Later, I regained a focus on the contest and moved on from adding content. The content was assembled together at last. I then made the final plan for what was left to be accomplished, and this time we stuck to it faithfully. At month's end, I sent a demo to Trevor so he could experience what the contest would entail. During April, we were faced with new challenges. We focused our efforts on difficulty balancing, which is indeed the fun stuff of game development. The balancing we were doing was important to fine-tune, which required our joint attention. By the end of the month, the game difficulty was set in stone for the contest. In May, we sent our invitations to the playtesters. Additionally, item spawn was balanced and items were finalized. It was then that I looked around and noticed that it had been 12 months since we began working on the contest. I was shocked. I then got the high score system to work after days of troubleshooting. Next, I fixed many new bugs. By month's end, the playtesters and we agreed to event dates. In June, the contest started, but immediately had to be halted to research a bug which disrupted a contestant. I knew of yet another bug when the contest began, and this greatly disappointed Trevor. He had a point that we waited such a long time for the contest, so for me to not wait just a bit longer squandered the payoff. I should have underwent more testing. I took final bug fixing very seriously for the rest of the month. The contest demo became bug-free on the 30th. We were able to finish holding the contest in early July. At last! Even better, I had landed my current job. Witnessing the contest finish was a dream come true. It was a big milestone in our journey. Nevertheless, I kept wondering where the time went. If I could go back in time, I would have reduced the bugs of the game in the lead up to the contest. My second regret is allowing my crummy side job to ruin my mood in early 2022. There were steps I could have taken to remain content, even if that meant quitting sooner. Naturally, I regret hiring that new person. If I did all of these, the contest could have been about 45 days sooner. Best case scenario, the contest could have been under 11 months to prepare. Looking to the future, I'm glad we had the idea to do a contest in which to set new multi-month goals that end with tangible results. The contest proved our ability to focus on and achieve great things. Today we are each motivated to continue development, even if development might slow from time to time. Well, thank you for watching this whole video. Understand this about Dream Prison Wanderer. It has been actively in development since the start, and we will see this project through. We don't have the resources to move fast, but we will release quality worthy of your purchase. Have a blessed rest of your day.